Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes.
Hi, welcome to a very special episode of On Air Actually Rocket Science. Today it's our 10th episode and we are very proud.
It's not only our 10th episode, it's also our 1-year anniversary. Roughly 12 months ago, we uploaded our first episode of this very podcast and want to celebrate it together with you.
We've decided to have a Christmas end of the year special for you.
My name is Gianluca, this is Benne, and roughly 1.5 years ago, we founded the PR team in its current state. And about 1 year ago, we started this very podcast, most importantly, together with our team.
First of all, we really want to say thank you to all of you, our viewers. We're very happy that you're enjoying our content, and that's why we want to give you some behind-the-scenes inside views today and don't have a podcast guest.
But don't worry, the next, let's say, real podcast is already in the making.
Let's just start this podcast episode.
And for this, we are very happy to welcome part of our original team that started this whole podcast. So, welcome team.
Thank you. Hi.
Thanks for joining. So now we first of all want to get a bit into how it all started, how the podcast started. I mean, the idea was there already, I think, 1 year before it started, right, Kilian?
Yeah. I remember us talking about it in a PR meeting, or I think just a general Fachschaft meeting.
I think it was a general one, yeah.
Originally, I was kind of skeptical about the idea, but I'm glad that things ended up working out.
Definitely. So, yeah, as we said, it was an idea that already existed 1 year before we started, but then was only with the new students that joined, the new help that joined 1 year ago, that we could really realize that idea. And then we started with Professor Daoud, and it was a bit of a struggle in the beginning, right?
That's true. It was quite hilarious because we all didn't know what to do. We were all a bit nervous. We set up the mics. We were like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. Then we tried to set up a stand. It just fell over and we're like, oh my God, this is going to be horrible. He said, hey, don't worry, I can just hold the mic. It's all right. And then we basically started, and we really felt like how everyone was like, this is very nerve-wracking. But in the end, it worked out really well. Like I think it was fun.
It worked out really well, and I'm also very happy that the profs in the first podcast, they went to us and said, yeah, we really like this format. So we also need to say thank you to all our guests because they supported us, and also a very big thanks to the department because it's not to be taken for granted that they always supported us, and without them it wouldn't have been possible.
Definitely, and while we're in this round of thanking everybody, if you ever wondered who's behind the great intro song for this very podcast, the man is sitting here, the musical genius, and yeah, stay tuned because there will be some new music coming out very soon.
Interesting.
That's true. That's very true. We have so many talents here. You won't believe this. They're all.
You're gonna discover the next great artist.
I know, right? We're all gonna quit aerospace and start a band. And we're saying it right now.
At least there's a backup plan, I guess. So yeah, let's get a bit more into the history again, and maybe Paula, what was your personal highlight from the podcast you've heard and done so far?
I mean, the most I remember was just sitting on my laptop for hours, being confused about what I was supposed to research, especially for the first podcast, because we didn't really know how we wanted the episode to be. So having to basically stalk the professors was always interesting. Finding random CVs or interests of theirs. And my special highlight is the script, of course.
I mean, I feel like, I didn't host the first episode, but I did quite a bit of research with you guys. I learned a lot about multidisciplinary design optimization.
So you mean MDOs?
MDO. And I feel like just generally, you don't have to host an episode to learn so much about what's going on about the professor's life and what they do with their research. It's a great way to get some more out of it than just the academia stuff.
And in general, that's very important. It's not only the people you see in front of the camera that are hosting the episode, it's a lot of students researching things, setting up the cameras, preparing the rooms, cutting or editing the videos. So it's a great team behind it, and definitely without the team it wouldn't be possible. But yeah, Phil, what was your personal highlight? You already mentioned the mic stand. Maybe that's a story.
I mean, sure, that was a story. I think it's hard because there's just so many funny moments. I mean, my highlights would not even be in a podcast. My highlights would sometimes be like sitting there and watching people have a podcast, because you can now then just observe like all. Because sometimes you need to think about this. When we pan the camera to the professor or something, when he's telling something, you know, we have us sitting there and like listening very attentively and trying to understand what they were saying. And my absolute highlight, I'm sorry, Kiki, I'm going to bring this up, is when we were recording World's podcast, and you know, like it was, we recorded a lot of podcasts back to back, and it was you know, a lot of work at that time. And the first podcast, you know, like Kiki bangs it out, it's crazy, it's really good. And then for the second podcast, you see already he's a bit more tired, but he's really still in there. And then he asked a question to Will, and it was there towards the end where it became more technical. And then Will starts talking, and then Kiki just looks and then like slightly leans forward, and I'm like, no, Kiki, don't fall. And then he catches himself, and he does that for like 5 minutes.
I don't think it was
again.
that bad. My eyes were.
It was. I was looking over at you, worried.
I was trying to get like closer, you know.
Yeah, but if I'm correct, there was also some of your favorite moments about Fifi and
Oh boy, yeah. So I like, honestly, I was trying to think what my favorite moment. For me, maybe overall my favorite moment. I think I really enjoyed the Walter episode, Professor Walter. I wasn't part of it, but just sitting there listening to his stories, that's quite an experience. But definitely great one. Being it was, I think Fifi had asked Professor Drexler how you create carbon fibers themselves, right? So he's going on about like you need strings of carbons and all this stuff, right? And then he gives this really interesting long answer, and then Fifi looks him straight in the eyes and just goes, 100%. And then proceeds to ask his follow-up question. And I was like, yeah, man, 100%. 100%. Definitely.
I feel like our favorite moment is just when the other person messed up and did something dumb. So maybe
That's also part of it.
That's
you know,
true.
Seeing how people learn. And I remember, for example, Paula struggled with the mic in the beginning. In the first episode, a mic always was down on her lap, and
I'm holding it very
great
straight
job
right now.
to Philippe for fixing that. But that's something you can learn during the podcast, just how to hold a mic.
Yeah.
And also how to host episodes.
I think it's the most valuable thing I've learned in this entire engineering degree.
How
is
to
how
hold
to
a
hold
mic.
a microphone. Which is why now I don't have one I need to hold.
Yeah.
But yeah, at this point, this microphone thing that we don't use mic stands, it has become a running gag with Professor Manfletti when the mic stand just broke down.
So with her, we tried one. I think you brought one too.
I
to
brought
the set.
my second.
And then we fixed it to one of the couches. Oh no, to a crate of beer.
Like crate of
that's
beer,
next to
exactly.
the couches. If you ever wondered what Otto is usually sitting on, it's crates of beer. What should it be in a student council, I guess? But yeah, no, we fixed it to the crates of beer, and then Manfletti asks, "Is it rigid or can I move it?" We said, "You can definitely move it. Should turn easily."
100%.
Statically determined, don't worry.
And then she barely touches it, and it just completely falls apart.
Or the other time when recording with Professor Walter, and we didn't have any mic stand, and he straight went into this MacGyver mode where he considered using everything that stood around for his mic stand until he found his mug, his cup, and just placed his microphone inside there. So this was very cool that he just tried to come up with some solution. However, then he didn't realize that he
Was banging the table.
was
all
banging
the
the
time.
table every once in a while.
Yeah.
So what about you guys? Januka, what's your favorite moment?
I think my highlight is also one from the Walter episode. When I asked him about Ariane Spatz, he just proceeded to kind of claim that Ariane is going to die as a company in that way and in the way it's existing currently. And I tried to lift the mood a little bit because it's a big employer here in Europe, and said maybe we can fix it with good engineers from TUM. But he saw no chance whatsoever. He just said no.
I mean,
they're going to fail.
What I really liked about, I think it was your interaction with him, is that at some point, I don't remember exactly what you were saying, but he agreed with you to such an extent that he was like, yes, exactly that. And I felt that was a real nice moment that you guys shared there.
I think in general it's nice that, and I feel like we're achieving that more and more with every episode, that we get into a real conversation, and maybe you listeners can give us some feedback on how you like it. If you want more natural interaction, or maybe on that side we will lose some of the structure of a usual interview, or if you prefer a more structured way where you find out everything. Also in terms of length, would you like to see longer episodes or maybe shorter episodes? We can also use this this one for feedback. I guess that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, that's true. So now we've talked about the past of our podcast. Today you might have realized that we're not sitting in Ottobrunn. So where are we? What is this place that the viewers are seeing now?
Yeah, this is the new Consulate of Ottobrunn here in Garching. As most of the students are in Garching right now, we need some representation here, and very thankfully we got a room from the university, the old printy for the veterans here at TUM. So old print shop right in front of the Stu Cafe in Garching. And we'll have another printer here, so in a couple of weeks, month, nobody really knows, but we'll definitely announce it on our social media. You'll be able to print here. And we're very happy to have this room. And of course, you're very welcome to join us and have a chat with us if you have any questions. Most of the time, there's somebody here. And it's on a new set as well. We have professional lighting, don't we?
Yes.
We have couches. Come on.
I'm blinded by how professional this lighting is.
Yeah.
So everyone who's listening or hearing to our episode today, we're filming just with the desk lights of the new consulate room, but they hopefully look very good.
Yeah, and they're very bright. So congrats and good job to that Swedish furniture shop.
What are we talking about?
As we talked quite a bit about the history of the podcast and funny moments already, now we'll dive into a quiz that one of our freshmen prepared. And with that, I'll hand over to the voice from the off, Lily, our new freshman.
Thank you. Now we're going to have a quiz about this podcast. Therefore, we prepared multiple statistics on typical buzzwords in advance and let you guess the corresponding hosts. So, my first question for you. Who of you was the person who said the word like the most times?
I mean, in the first episode, it was a problem with, or before the first episode, it was a problem with Mikkel, I think.
Oh yeah.
But I think we fixed it quite well.
I think we did.
I remember sitting there, just him repeating words over and over again.
But how many times?
I think it's a lot, but not that much. I'd say he probably said like about,
Like
I'd say 15 times.
15 times?
Is it just the first episode?
No, it's all episodes
on
average.
Oh, like the average.
The average per episode.
Oh,
Who said like the most?
I'd say it. Oh no, it's gonna be Gigi. It's definitely gonna be Gigi.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So
I think,
Greta for example, from the second episode with Manfletti.
Yeah, I think Gigi's gonna have said an average of 10 times.
I think in that episode we were both just.
I think
Megan
10 is still quite low,
liking-
but Greta might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Do we want to look in Greta?
Final answer.
Greta.
I'm sorry, but that's wrong.
No.
The winner is Paula with an average of 6 times per appearance.
Oh.
Ouch.
Greta only reaches 4 times per appearance.
Gigi letting me down.
But that's not too bad.
That's okay.
So, the next question. Which one of you used the most fill words such as and so on?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Might be.
You sure?
I mean, I said a lot of M's and I think Paula too in the Golka episode. But
To be fair,
Yeah.
to our defense, that was also one of the episodes where we went more off script and just tried to have a normal conversation with him. So, so it does make sense.
You guys can say whatever you want. I know. I'm
I'm not
pretty
sure.
You think it's yourself?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think oftentimes yes, but in the podcast you just stand there so confident because if someone goes and you
You're doing
ask them
your
a
great,
question and
man.
you go like, "That's a great question," and then your confidence is right there, and then you're like just thinking about how great you are, and then you're like not really focused on how much.
Yeah.
I'm guessing probably
Take your time.
Bena. I think you might
Yes.
be one of them.
Bene.
Yeah.
Because I remember. Okay, that's really bad.
There you go.
But for you, I think it was a lot of M's.
I love how he isn't even in the discussion.
No.
I
We
love,
don't need to.
Because anytime
No.
he's looking for
Yeah,
something,
'cause
he
he's a
just keeps on
robot.
talking.
he's a robot. He'll just
He
say
can actually
something.
form proper sentences. Insane.
Crazy. So Ben or Kian, which one do we choose?
We can't like
Okay then.
we don't necessarily have to choose all the same people, right?
I think I agree.
guys are
I
wasting your
agree
time.
with Paula and Kilian. So it's Kilian, I think.
This time, again, it's pretty close. You have chosen wrong again.
What?
Oh damn!
Oh my god.
And Bina is actually the winner. you have an average of almost 39, and in the
Jesus.
and in the episode with Professor Rice, you have a total of 72 times.
Oh my god.
72.
Yeah, I counted everything. And Kilian, you were pretty
You
close.
hear the pain in that voice from counting
Wow.
72 M's.
Kilian, you have an average of 36 for this episode.
Where was I?
In episode 6, you reached 43 counts. So on to our next question. Which host most frequently found something interesting in an episode?
That's definitely Paula.
No, I've said it like twice.
Twice per minute, or?
I think you.
I think it was cut out both times as well.
Maybe.
no?
Yeah, we cut out a lot of interesting
Yeah.
reactions just because it was annoying for the listener.
If it was about the most iconic interesting, it would be Paula
Of
instantly.
Of course.
But about the number, you know what? I think it's Bene again.
You
I
think
think
it's
Bene
me?
again. I think in Valtas episode, I remember you.
But it was interesting.
I know. But I remember in that episode, because obviously I think in that one we were all a bit more nervous, and when we didn't want to, get too much out of line and try to say something, you often said interesting, and then you compose your words in some sense.
But this time I think you really could be right. It
He's
was
usually
interesting,
right,
and I'm
so
saying
I'm just
it.
gonna agree with him and think it's you.
So is it Bene?
No, that's not the case.
Oh,
It's Greta this time.
Oh,
In
wow.
which episode
Oh, wow.
did you have the most?
Really?
In the 2nd and 5th episode, she reached 3 times on average. This is my last question for the quiz. Now, you guys have the chance to redeem your wrong answers if you at least get this question right. Which host received the most compliments from guests for asking good questions?
Who received the most good questions?
He's very proud of it.
You know what? So I have this bad thing that I do in lectures. When a professor says good question, I always say thank you. And I tried.
Not annoying at all.
I tried very hard not to say thank you, and I think there's a couple of times where I just mouth.
Oh, I
For
can
that, you
confirm.
just said
I
thank
can
you.
confirm. You need to think about this. We listen back to the audio, just showing them, every single time Drexler
That was
goes.
chill.
That was a really good question. Kiki's just his hand is shaking, goes, thank you. Just to be sure that
just
he
to say
said that.
thank you.
Hey, steady hand, steady hand. Look at that,
Yes,
steady hand.
totally.
It's Kiki.
Finally, you gave the correct answer. It's Kilian with a total of 6 times and on average 3 times.
I'm just that good.
I guess you, Kilian, probably had the most interesting questions of
To
them
be
all.
fair, I had a question where the professor literally had to stop for 10 minutes and think about it. So
That
We're not going to say which prof.
Okay, that's it for the quiz.
But
that's pretty great.
that's also very funny, I think, the conversations with the profs after the podcast.
yeah.
Because oftentimes we just sit down with them and chat to them. I think especially with Daoud, we talked to him about 45 minutes where he kind of gave us advices for our lives, and yeah, it's really nice.
I think on top of that too, I like my go-to mic check with professors is asking them what they had for breakfast, and it kind of throws them off a bit. And it's just funny to be like, oh, I actually just had a cup of coffee, and I'm like, oh, great. How do you take your coffee?
And talking about the question, you actually used that this week, didn't you?
Yeah, so could you explain what happened this Wednesday?
What a great transition.
Heavily.
Yeah, so this Wednesday we asked Professor Drexler if we could maybe take a look around the workshop, what goes on behind the research at LTC. And so I think we're going to be starting a new, let's say, video series where we're going to go behind the scenes of different research chairs, seeing what kind of machines they have, what kind of stuff they have going on. I think it turned out quite cool, and I'm excited to see what comes next. But yeah, so make sure to check that out once it comes out.
Like and subscribe
Yeah,
to follow our content, because we're all really looking forward to these new lab tours. They're going to be awesome.
And this new content is partly also possible because we now acquired a lot of new students that are very motivated, and to kind of show them a bit more and not just as a voice from the off, we'll switch around a little bit here on the couches, and then see you in a bit.
so all right, new face, Lily.
Yes, hi, I'm Lily.
Yeah, introduce yourself briefly.
I'm in the 1st semester, and yeah, I started working with you guys, and
Okay.
that's my first episode.
Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome. Are you
You won't
excited?
regret it.
Are you excited to be destroyed in a quiz right now?
Yes.
Oh, great transition. So we're going to be doing a quiz now with our quiz master Yannick. who's going to be asking us a series of questions to gauge how authentic we are at aerospace topics. So Yannick, go ahead.
Thanks for introducing me, Kilian. We will play an aerospace quiz now, but be aware, we also prepared non-aerospace questions. So let's directly start with the first question. The year 2023 is coming to an end, and we also can expect exciting missions in the coming year. Artemis II, the first crewed lunar mission since Apollo 17 in 1972, is planned for November. Who was the last astronaut to set foot on the surface of the moon?
It was something with C.
I know what his first name is, I think.
I know his first name too, but I don't know his last name.
I'm going to...
Eugene something. Oh, we need to clap.
That's me checking in. Eugene Candid.
Sorry, you are really close, but I cannot count that as the correct answer.
Should know this, Pada.
I know.
Wow, this is fantastic. Eugene Castor.
Sorry, that's still wrong. The right answer is Eugene Cernan.
Oh,
I was so close.
Oh, you were so close. With the answer you did not give.
It is recorded.
Once again, Christmas is just around the corner. It's been 2 years since, on Christmas Day, the largest and most expensive space telescope ever embarked on its journey to the approximately 1.5 million kilometers distant Lagrange point L2 from the Kourou spaceport. What is the name of the rocket that carried the James Webb Space Telescope to L2?
What would it be?
Ariane 5.
That's absolutely correct.
Great. We are leading. Woo!
Speaking of Ariane 5, Ariane 5's last mission took place in 2023, and ESA's new Ariane 6 is planned to fly first for mid-2024. At the moment, Europe finds itself temporarily without its own access to space. In which month was Ariane 5's last flight?
June.
No, again, you are really close.
I say May.
Sorry, July is the correct answer.
July.
Something closer.
It's July. Oh, come on. You give me that. You give me that.
So it was the 5th of July.
What mission was it?
It was the last mission.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, Kiki.
No way.
The last flight of Ariane 5 was loaded with a DLR satellite for communication purposes and a French military satellite into a geostationary transfer orbit.
What satellite?
You might have heard of it already. The German satellite is called Heinrich Hertz. One last question about Ariane 5. Estimate how many missions were flown with Ariane 5.
And if I don't get this exactly right, I'm going to get 0 points.
How old is it?
No, I don't think. I think less than that.
I think it's
That? No,
Probably
no.
newer.
Fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds.
I think that's good. All right.
We have no idea, so what?
One answer is 18 and the
I was
other
right.
answer is 115.
18. What? 18. What?
There were over 100 launches with Ariane 5. The absolute number is 117.
Oh my God!
Today it takes less than 2 days to fly around the world in an airplane. A century ago, it took about 6 months. In 1924, the first round-the-world flight in an airplane was completed in numerous stages after 175 days. Of the 4 planes that took off, only 2 reached their departure point Seattle again. Which manufacturer built these airplanes?
We have an answer. McDonnell Douglas.
Yes, we count that as correct. The Douglas Aircraft Company.
Yeah, beautiful planes. DC-3. Oh,
Originally, the manufacturer was called Douglas Aircraft Company, but today it's known as McDonnell Douglas. Now we are moving to our environment here in Munich, and we were already talking about long distances. So what's the longest distance between 2 subway stations located one behind the other?
The distance or the stations?
The station's name, please.
Oh, the station names or the distance? Oh,
Is it Fred Manning and Garching-Hochbrück?
That's totally correct. We also know a lot of famous persons here in Munich, and I have the question, which famous physicist once helped to set up the 10th of Oktoberfest in 1896?
I'm going to say Einstein. I bet Einstein.
Albert Einstein is correct.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a geodesy question for you. Name one of the satellites which is part of the Copernicus Earth Observation Program of the European Union.
Sentinel-6.
Sentinel is completely correct.
Sentinel-6.
You have a jacket, and I worked on it,
You worked on it.
in my internship.
Now we transition to a section where Tall is telling us about Sentinel-6.
Now we are moving back to aerospace questions. What is the fastest crewed plane ever built?
Crewed plane?
Crewed?
X-15.
That's correct.
Flown by... Oh, come on. At least you have to know who flew it.
No. Your planes is your expertise.
What's his name?
The pilot who reached the speed record with X-15 was called William John Knight.
After Kikimi just gracefully won the quiz, something interesting still occurred. I learned that someone in this room had the opportunity to work on a Sentinel mission, and I'd be very interested in hearing about it.
Is it me?
Oh, it's her. Oh,
Paula.
okay, it's Paula.
Yeah.
Tell us more about it.
So, obviously, I didn't get the chance to directly work on the missions. That would have been a bit insane. But I got the chance to recreate the telemetry system for Sentinel-6 and test it in one of their control rooms on simulations. So that was pretty cool. I mean, it was part of my pre-internship for this degree. And I remember struggling a lot trying to find one because I applied quite late. So I managed to get that internship in September. But I know of a lot of people who struggled finding even anything.
Me.
What about you? What about you, Lily?
So first I struggled a lot. I wrote to different companies, emails, applied. They just rejected me. And then I just found on the website of MTU this form to apply for pre-internship. So I applied and I forgot about it. And 2 months later, I just got an email like, yeah, we're interested in you. And so that was in March of this year. And I think the whole summer I just did my 8 weeks of internship.
So I guess the theme with finding a pre-internship is perseverance. Well, just keep applying to things, and eventually, something will work out, and it's a nice relief of stress when that does work. But I think another factor that we don't think about is that once you do get into the degree, you have to do an internship during the 5th semester. And that's when it's really useful to have had some prior experiences at the university. So whether it's student groups or Hiwi positions at chairs, personally, I think that one way that I got my position for my internship or my working student job is because I had already worked at the chair in the same field. And so they knew that I wasn't going to start from zero. So I think the general theme is perseverance, that you just keep applying, and at some point, something will stick. Also, maybe make sure to have someone else look over your CV, see what they think about it, and obviously always writing a nice letter of motivation, which really reflects who you are. I think that's a good way to stand out in a crowd of CVs. So yeah, perseverance. Make sure you write your documents well, and maybe some prior experiences and small things will also help you.
100%.
And a lot of people, since a lot of people don't have the pre-internship, doing, how many is it? 14 weeks during the semester
A lot.
is a lot, of course. I mean, we don't have 14 weeks of holidays where we could put that. We barely have 6. So it is, like you mentioned, a good chance to maybe work at a chair or find a Werkstudenten position.
Yeah.
Because that is something you can also count as your internship. And working somewhere over a longer period of time might give you the opportunity to go along with a project for more time, properly work yourself into it. And like Kilian said, I mean, it's also good for later. You get to see different fields, get to experience how it is actually working in the industry and on the topics that we learn in the lectures.
And also, I think one thing to point out that many people might not realize, that I didn't realize before the semester, was that in the 5th semester, things quiet down a lot. And you don't have all the time pressure, and you don't have all the lectures that you did in the first 4 semesters. So personally, I found that, now this semester, I really do have the time to take out, whether it's 15 or 20 hours a week, to work at a company as a working student. And because of that, I already had my pre-internship requirements, but if you're lucky enough to start working in a place where you can fill out 2 of the 3 categories that you need to check off, that's another option you can do, and you can do that before you start applying for your bachelor's thesis. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is that you will have more time in the 5th semester than you do in the first 4 semesters to really put some time into that.
I would still recommend, though, the earlier, that's something very valuable I learned, is that in the 2nd semester instantly, I went, like, there was a fair where a bunch of chairs presented themselves. I just went there and talked to a bunch of research chairs, and they were like, hey, so if you ever want to work at our chair, for sure. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, I don't know anything. Let me not start working on the chair because I'm unqualified. But then I go to the chair, the guy asked me, do you know what aluminium is? I was like, yes, you're hired. And I was like, oh, that is pretty low requirements. No, because in that sense, you are workforce, but the university, exactly, you learning, and you learning benefits them in some sense as well. Like, they're basically raising a new generation of competent engineers. So I think really the earlier you start of just doing bar or student job, maybe manage your time and everything to make sure that you pass the GOPs. But the earlier you start, the more you'll realize how much greatness it will give to you if you start working on projects on actual hand-in-hand things. So really do this.
That's always my advice to the first semester students, is that the first semester I would really just focus on passing your exams, because the second, from people that I've seen, if you start and fail one of your GOPs or both of them, you're going to be struggling a lot coming forward. And you can spend a lot of time on whether it's, so HIVI positions, for people who don't know, are what's called wissenschaftliche Hilfskräfte, which are research assistants to PhD candidates at chairs. And you can do a lot of great work there. It's not always necessarily guaranteed, or I don't think that in theory that these positions count for pre-internship, but it is great experience that you just gather, which a lot of your other students in your course won't have. So I definitely do recommend taking part in those things, and you meet a lot of cool people and you learn a lot of cool stuff. But personally, I would definitely wait until the second semester, make sure you got those GOPs out the way, and then you can focus on whatever you find most interesting. So that's the topic of internships, right? But another thing that we have in common is that we both started, and we're both at different points in our degrees, studied in a tent, and more specifically a beer tent, which was placed initially for us because of Corona, so that we could all sit nice and far apart. And now for you guys, because we want everyone to be here in Garching together on the same campus. So I guess it'd be interesting to see whose tent, if this is even a question, is better or was better. So I'd like you to make your first point of why your Tentomax, is better than ours.
Ours is better because it's statically determined and it doesn't fall apart when there's a storm.
Okay, so that's one thing that we have to point out about ours, is that when it was very windy, there was a small chance that the projector would fall on someone's head. It never happened.
That's true.
But it felt like that was a possibility.
Yeah, Professor Horner was holding a lecture, and we were all very excited. He looks at the projector and he sees that the screen is wobbling back and forth and back and forth. He looks back at the audience, looks back at the projector, and he's like, maybe we'll just move that to next week.
Probably enough for today. Okay, what would you say is our benefit that we had?
We had very comfortable seats. We had extreme seats. It was like you were sitting like a king.
On actual desk chairs. Something that if you had at home, you'd be like, huh, okay, yeah.
I'd buy this for myself.
Yeah, no.
Well, at least we get the real Bavarian experience.
Yes. We should all come like in a Dirndl and Lederhosen one day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For the ones who missed Oktoberfest, this is,
right.
This is how you catch all the international people here.
Practically the same thing. Okay. All right. Then what's your benefit?
What's your take?
Well, it is quite warm now that the heating is fixed.
Sure.
You don't freeze anymore.
Ours was
quite
cold.
nice.
Actually, we had heating as well, but there was always let me say this in nice terms. Some people who would always go to the bathroom and just have the door wide open, both sides. I don't know how they managed. They maybe went out the wrong way and walked back and then went one door open. So I think there was heating, and then we just had wind going through the entire thing. So I think there was heaters, but doors were open all the time. So
I wouldn't say that this is a benefit from our Tentomax, but definitely having to walk 10 minutes through the mud and snow it toughens you, you know.
It-
And it's just something. It's something that these generations they just don't
I
have
wanted
anymore.
to say that our advantage is that it's directly next to the underground.
Yeah, but I wouldn't really consider
It's a
that.
bonding experience. Think about this.
It really.
You and your friends, right then when they're in the tents, like all these people, right next to the stop. So as soon as the lecture ends, everyone just rushes out into the thing. Exactly. But for us, it's like we are here as a community. We have to walk this path.
Your code.
It's like when you go on a long hike with your friends, or like even with a stranger, you'll end up being a friend after that hike because you just are so close proximity all the time. It's like an experience. Really, it is.
I feel like there's nothing that toughens someone up as much as walking in the rain and mud back 10 minutes from Tentomax, and it's something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. Yeah,
It's pretty special.
well, it's definitely clear who the winner
Yeah,
is,
I
right?
mean-
Because
I'm not sure.
well,
We have it pretty cushy, I have to say.
yeah. Okay,
I mean,
I
we have a
respectfully
Christmas
disagree.
tree now. Did you guys
We
had a
had
Christmas?
2 Christmas trees.
Oh, one in each hall. One in each hall.
Yeah. No, so I definitely think that we've just as we won the quiz, we also won the
Yeah,
Tentomax.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
The emotional value that the old Tentomax carries cannot be beaten by the new Tentomax. But in objective measures, the new Tentomax is better.
So this leads us to the end of the episode. We want to thank our listeners again for, listening to us for a year now, putting up with us talking so much. So yeah, we want to obviously thank you and also wish you happy holidays, enjoy, and actually take a break. I think everyone needs that every once in a while.